Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
The Porsche Endurance Challenge North America Series started off here at Circuit of the Americas, and Joey, we're back here once again.
We are just outside of downtown Austin, Texas at this beautiful FIA Grade 1 facility. We are going to end the weekend with the endurance race, but in order to see that checkered flag, all of the drivers have to make it through turn number 1, known as Big Red.
That's for sure, and they've got to survive those 90 minutes today. Before we get to that racing action, let's check in with Victoria Thomas of Kelly Moss Racing.
So I'm out here with Victoria Thomas, team owner of Kelly Moss Racing. I run with her in Carrera Cup, so super exciting. And I just wanted to talk to you because you run such a huge operation. You have a lot of cars, not just in Sprint Challenge, but also in Carrera Cup. Can you talk about that?
Sure, yeah, we have a lot of cars. We have 13 cars here just this weekend, so a lot to manage, but I think that for me, my biggest job is to assemble the best team possible. And we have fantastic, dedicated people that are really good at their jobs. Kind of an unsung hero, Carissa Cobb, who has been in racing for 25 years, is here wrangling the cats, as she would say, making sure that everything runs smoothly, everybody gets where they need to be. So it's just about having great people.
So how many cars do you have here this weekend?
13 here this weekend.
Oh my goodness. And how many in Carrera Cup?
So in Carrera Cup we have another 9, and then we also run Porsche Club. And so we have a pretty big team, a lot going on, all Porsches.
Yeah, huge operation. So the huge topic this weekend has been the heat.
Yes.
How have the drivers been handling that? How has the team been handling that as well?
Well, I think that adrenaline helps a great deal. So with it being hot, but the competition being so fierce this weekend, I think that that's been helpful. You saw that when people were getting out of the cars yesterday because they didn't notice as much in the car, and then as soon as they got out, they felt it. But the real truth is, if you went into where our drivers change right now, oh my gosh, that's where I feel the heat. It is very, very pungent.
Well, that's awesome. Good luck in the endurance race today, and congratulations with your races so far. Lonnie did great, Alan did great, John as well, so super exciting to see.
Yeah, we've had, I think that we've had 12 trophies this weekend, so I can't complain too much, but looking forward to endurance and continuing with the season.
Amazing, thank you.
Thank you.
This won't be a ramble past the tumbleweeds here in Texas. It'll be more like a slog through the desert. Everyone's tenacity will be tested as we get ready for the Porsche Endurance Challenge North America. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. I'll be joined a little bit later by TDA Cup alumni Joey Atterbury and Carrera Cup North America driver Ashley Freiberg. You can see we've got cars ready to go, and Scott Blend is going to be on the pole overall with Demir Hott starting next to him for CHR. Then on row 2, it'll be John Gilliland starting this race for Kelly Moss. Brandon Hankins there in the Loftus Motorsports, number 295 in 4th position. Joel Johnson will be P5, followed by Reinhold Kron in the 6th spot. Then it is Josh Conley starting in 7th today. Mike Mim will be to his outside in P8. After that, it will be Ross Poole starting in 9th, and Mark Wilgus will round out your top 10. Eric Lapp for JDX Racing starts in 11th today. Dan Ammon will be in P12 next to him. And then, of course, you've got Toombs starting in 13th. Peter will be flanked by Francisco De Jesus in 14th. That then takes us to the Caymans with Greg Checky on pole over there in the number 72. Charles Espenlaub starting in the number 78. Bill Pelichowski then starts in 3rd for that class. And then Tom Kopczynski in 4th. Pole for the Cayman Pro-Am, or AM category rather, is going to be Greg Herback. He'll be 5th overall. 6th goes to Brent Osplund, and then you've got Reggie Tartaglione starting in 7th. 8th goes to Petkus at the end of our field of 22 cars out on the track. Joey, it is one of my favorite parts of the weekend here. Is actually, I'll come to you in just a second because it looks like we're getting ready to go racing with already the field pulling up to that final corner. They have to wait for the call from the flag stand as they try to get nice and close to one another here. Remember, a 90-minute race. Turn 1 might be important, but it's more important to try to get out the other side clean there. As last year we saw this race open with an incident, unfortunately. Green flag is out. Who is going to be able to make it out the other side with a car in the lead? So far, it looks like Scott Blend has the advantage over Demir Hott. He covers all the way down shallow to the inside. Gilliland looked like he was also looking for it. And wow, this De Jesus going over the grass as we had cars all the way off with damage, it looks like, including our leader.
Yeah, Scott Blend is just creeping his way down through turn number 2. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him there, but that was a horrible start as we get the Caymans going up the hill into turn number 1. We see that Ruckus Racing machine pull off the racetrack to the driver's left side of turn number 2 as it looks like Greg Checky maintains the lead.
Something looks seriously wrong with Blend's car, so he's out of the way of them, but hopefully he can get it to somewhere. As we got another car actually just ahead of him that seems to be limping. Meanwhile, these Caymans being led by Greg Checky and Charles Espenlaub, hot on his heels. You can see Bill Pelichowski seeing if he could get into the mix as the top 3 run away.
And that second car that you had just mentioned, I think that's the 299 of Josh Conley, also stopped down there at the exit of turn number 2. So a multiple car incident up there at turn number 1, lap 1 to start off this 90-minute endurance race.
I also see the race start is under review towards the back. I think I saw Poole kind of peek out and make a pass before the start finish, which is not allowed here in this series. You have to stay in line all the way till the green flag.
Yeah, and that's something the drivers know. I'm a bit surprised that we wound up seeing that once again here at the start. You got to get all the little things right before you have a hope at trying to come home with the victory. And right now it's looking pretty good for this 72 of Greg Checky, who should hopefully hand over to Anna later on this afternoon once they get partway through the race. That is the Pro-Am category as well, as they are still nicely separated between those two classes in the Caymans.
Got to give credit where credit is due, and that is to the 241, the driver. That is Demir Hott, who currently leads overall. You see him come out onto the front straightaway, but he was able to avoid whatever happened up there at the apex at turn number 1. And remember, this driver hasn't necessarily had the best track position all weekend long, but here to close out the endurance race of the weekend, he's leading the field.
He'll be sharing that car with Yardley, Ryan Yardley, a little bit later on in this race once we get to the pit stops. Now, this series will have a regulated pit stop time, a minimum pit stop time that you must hit, but it'll be a big talking point throughout. Is that pit strategy? We'll see who does what. As Conley and Blend are showing as stopped on the track. I'm not sure where, if that's the case, but that'll be a shame if both of them don't even get to go past turn one.
You know, and what we saw earlier in the weekend in some of the sprint challenge races that we had a couple cars kind of in the same area of the racetrack, they were able to get one behind the wall, but that second car, they couldn't get behind the same gap. So I know that there was a gap between Conley and Blend. I wonder if they were able to make it to their own separate breaks in the wall or if they're still out there on the side of the racetrack. On
board with Reinhold Kron, who has inherited that AM lead here in the 992 Cup cars. In fact, I think we're only going to have two finishers as it stands, at most at least at this stage, with Conley and Blend likely being out. Peter Toombs, the other one, still down in 7th overall. Otherwise, it is all Pro-Ams out there in the 992 Cup cars carrying on at the front of the field.
Watching the front of the field here as Demir Hott actually is taking control. I mean, 2.2 seconds over this group that we're watching of Joel Johnson, Reinhold Kron, and also Brandon Hankins. See Mike Mim kind of hanging on the back with John Gilliland really putting the pressure on in that cow-themed number 280 car as we accelerate through this very long, sweeping triple apex right-hander that starts to feed you downhill.
Joel Johnson still running in that second spot there, just ahead of Kron, probably appreciating having that buffer between himself and Brandon Hankins in the number 295. In fact, there you see Reinhold Kron's. Not a bad start for Charlie Hayes Racing, with them having a car that's first and third overall.
A good start to this one, but remember, you still got 85 minutes remaining. And typically, endurance racing, you got to take care of your equipment, but Porsche builds such good race cars, these Yokohama tires. As long as you take care of them, they will stay underneath you the entire time. Ashley, it really turns into almost a sprint race on who can maintain that pace.
Yeah, for sure. These cars handle super well, and honestly, in most endurance racing, it has kind of become just a really long sprint race. You can really lean on these cars, lean on the tires all the way through the full 90 minutes. So these drivers are definitely working hard right from the start.
Battle for fourth in the Pro-Am class, Gilliland versus Mim. Mim in the purple and white machine, the cow-colored car, as we've been calling it there for John Gilliland in behind, and the black and white. Forces him to maybe get a little defensive initially, then comes back to the racing line, and that's Hankins there in that 295. He's going to be one to watch out for. That's Andy Lee's car that you'll see him take over a little bit later.
And remember the performance that Andy put on back at Sonoma about a month ago. He was out front and was able to withstand a ton of pressure from various very successful Carrera Cup drivers, including Riley Dickinson and company, and then ultimately kind of ended in tears in that final hairpin. So I'm sure that he's looking forward to seeing his teammate up there, currently sitting in third place in class, fourth place overall. It's good, some good track position.
He is right on top of that rear wing is John Gilliland, putting some great pressure on Mike Mim, but Mim hasn't buckled to it yet. And again, this is for fourth place in that class currently out there on track, although it sounds like Peter Toombs may have been passed by Wilgus from what I'm seeing on our time and in scoring. So we've got to swap a little bit farther down as Toombs tries to catch up to Reinhold Kron, leader in his AM class.
Look at how close Gilliland is to the back of Mim. He's going to make a little bit of a lunge down in turn number 20, and that was great respect from both of those drivers. I don't think that Gilliland was quite up along that door of Mim, but Mike was able to see him, left him plenty of room at Apex, and that's exactly what we want to see here with racing, is room being given, because that way everybody is still smiling at the end of the day.
I'm seeing a lot of confidence in John's driving this weekend in general, and he definitely has the pace, so we'll see if he can make this work.
They have investigated the opening incident at turn 1 between the 299 and the 245. They have given incident responsibility to Josh Conley in the 299, but I think that's a bit of a moot point since I believe he's out of this race. So we continue to follow this fight here for P4 in Pro-Am. One thing to keep in mind in all of this too, if once we do get to those pit stops, is those AMs do have a minimum amount of time that they have to be in the car, and that is 45 minutes, so exactly halfway through this race. After that, the pit window opens up for them.
It's all about getting there and then having the team really read the rest of the race and see what's going on. Now, unfortunately, the 245 Scott Blend is already out, but talking about strategy, I think that Ruckus Racing team has really executed on that. There's been a couple of others that have taken advantage of some full course yellow flags that we've seen throughout the Endurance Challenges events here in 2025, but the 245 definitely comes to mind as we ride on board here with Kopczynski chasing down, I believe this is Herback directly in front of him.
Yes, so this is another interesting one because Herback is leading the AM category in the Caymans, while Kopczynski is looking to try and catch up to Bill Pelichowski because Kopczynski's running in Pro-Am. So he really, I mean, his fight is with this car, and yet it isn't at the same time.
Kopczynski is trying to catch the top 3 in his class, and if you look at the top 3 in the Cayman Pro-Am class, they are running super close together. So if Tom can get by Herback, that might give him an opportunity in case who knows what could happen in front of him. If those guys are battling really hard, it could potentially back those 3 up and give Tom an opportunity.
Saw 154 miles an hour as we ride on board by the time they hit the brakes here and slowed it back down. So these cars certainly get moving, these Caymans. And the windscreen full of rear bumper as Greg Herback just unwilling to give way quite so easily. I'm sure if a fight started to break out, Joey, he probably wouldn't battle it too hard. But right now he's saying, if you're quicker, make the move.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all about progressing your own skills as a driver. You know, you can call it learning, you can call it fine-tuning, whatever you want to call it, but I think that Herback has constantly been improving this 2025 season. And really, I was talking with Tom Rogers, one of his competitors in the Sprint Challenge, right? Is that he was so proud of Herback to go out there and grab that class pole for the Cayman GT4s here in the Endurance Challenge race. So I think it's all about those little victories and keep on getting better.
And it's going to be fun to watch when he hands over the car. Yves Baltus is going to be taking over for Greg Herback, so that'll be fun to witness. A little deep up into the first corner for Tom, just maybe getting a bit antsy, trying to keep on the back of that yellow machine.
And you see kind of lift of the throttle there through turn number 2. You are carrying a ton of speed down there. You got to make sure you keep the car to driver's right-hand side, and then, of course, you jump all over these curbs through these Sector 1S's here, this long right-hander. You see him kind of dancing with the throttle, doing what he needs to in terms of that weight and the attitude of the car to get it to turn exactly how he needs. Then you really got to slow it down through this 8 and then up over the crest into 9.
Big kudos to Herback right now. Every time I've talked to him, he is hungry for a win. So he's doing a great job maintaining the lead and mixing it up with the Pro-Ams.
Just finding improvement after improvement. As it is, I will admit, a lot more of the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America drivers that tend to partake in these Porsche Endurance Challenge races. But Greg comes in from the USA West Series and shows that he's no slouch, even though they have slightly smaller fields than what we see in the North America cars, and giving quite a bit of a headache to Kopczynski in these opening stages.
I was really enjoying talking with Herback on those opening rounds of the West Series out there at Spring Mountain, because I myself grew up as a downhill ski racer, but he much more successful at it. He made a career out of it, and that information translation actually goes over into race cars quite well. You have to be able to read the racetrack. You have to be able to understand those turn-in points, be able to manage the energy, and of course, nail every single apex.
So far, he's been doing that pretty well here in this race. So we've been watching the leader in the AM class here for the Caymans. This is the leader in the Pro-Am class, and that was a slip-up by Greg Checky in the yellow and white. Charles Espenlaub is going to see if he can make a move up into turn 1. He's very close, but doesn't even pop his nose out. Still, I think it looks like there are potentially cracks in the armor of the 72.
Espenlaub showing a lot of patience right now behind Greg Checky, which is really cool to see. He's not too aggressive yet. There's still an hour and 17 minutes remaining in this race, so he's definitely trying to just see where Greg might make a slip up so that he can make a pass clean.
And if we kind of rewind back to Sonoma about a month ago, it was actually Espenlaub that had that endurance challenge pole position, was able to kind of run away from the field, but he had a start penalty that kind of set him back there. And so now this is a little bit of a reversal order. Greg was really able to learn from Charles back there at Sonoma, but now Greg Checky has to deal with the pressure from Espenlaub in that black, red, and white number 78 car. And Charles has been around the block in terms of sports car racing. He knows exactly how to get a pass done. Right now, he is putting as much pressure on Greg Checky as possible, just trying to force him into a mistake so he doesn't actually have to make a move.
Man, he's within half a car length, really, up behind that yellow and white machine. Once they come into the brake zone, he drifts off to the left-hand side ever so slightly.
Yep.
And then fades back, both of them going too deep. That's the mistake he was hoping for. But as they drift back across the track, that's the wrong side of the corner for Charlie Espenlaub. Not anymore as he cuts underneath to try and take the apex away. Chopped off on the exit. Greg Checky doing a good job somehow clinging to that lead.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley.
Great job by Greg there. It's really challenging to be leading a race like this. You have no cars ahead of you, and then you have Espenlaub filling your mirrors. So for Greg to be focusing forward as much as possible, it's a real challenge.
It was a third at Sonoma for Greg and a fourth at a third at Sebring and a fourth at Sonoma for them. But it is definitely looking like he's got a realistic shot at maybe trying to fight for the win this weekend, but he's having to do the hard work for it. There goes Charlie up the inside. He's got the track position. Is this going to be a bit of an easier pass?
And now he is a very experienced road racer. I'm sure he will hold Greg Checky, out to the outside of the racetrack, just like what we've heard Ashley depict on how to make those moves. You control that car that you're passing. He did not allow him to sneak back underneath, and now Espenlaub is in that clean air.
Just brilliantly done. Yeah, definitely one for the highlight reel for drivers looking to take notes for the next round, how to do it correctly. Espenlaub now takes off down the road. Oh, could we see two positions in one lap for Checky? Because there was Bill Pelichewski ready to pick his pocket.
It's a difficult position to be in when you got somebody on your rear bumper all race long, and then all of a sudden they get by because a little bit of a bobble on the front straightaway, and all of a sudden you got another car filling that rear view mirror. I always like to try to draw parallels to the real world. It's almost like having the school teacher, while you're taking the test, looking over the shoulder saying, hey, what are you looking at? Are you answering that? Are you sure you got that right? Because if you didn't, they're going to take advantage.
Also want to point out that Tom Kopczynski made it by Herbeck, so he is now slowly entering the mix. So as these three battle, they're going to start reeling back towards Tom.
There may have actually been a mistake from Herbeck because he's already 8 seconds behind. So I wonder if something went a little bit awry. Yeah, and Joey, you're pointing out that his lap time last time was about 8 seconds off.
Yeah, so obviously we don't know where that mistake happened, but a 228 versus usually about a 219, 220 out there, and it looks like maybe a spin at turn number 19 could have been the culprit there, as we see Greg Checky once again just a little bit defensive, trying to dissuade Bill Pelichewski from making a move down the inside, and now you see that Nerds machine just trying to get a little bit of clean air to the front end on the front end splitter and everything. Get it through that triple apex right-hander.
I thought I saw some wheel spin off the rear tires there coming off of turn 15 for a brief moment, clattering over the inside curb. Checky almost looking a little bit rattled right now. In fact, he's going to be rattled off of that second place. There goes Pelichewski through. He's going to try and see if he can get the over-under on him. It's now a drag race up to Big Red.
Let's see if Greg learned from when Espenlaub passed. You want to control that car on your outside. Don't cheat your way over towards the apex, and that looks pretty good. A little bit narrow on the inside, but as long as he is able to roll through the exit, which he does perfectly, he'll be able to maintain that second place.
So a good fight back, but now they're starting to lose touch with Espenlaub up in front of them. It's about 2 seconds up the road. And as we heard Ashley point out, Tom Kopczynski is going to start reeling them in as well now that he's got that clear air in front of him.
So as we watch these cars still just apply the pressure to the back of this yellow and white number 72, you had made the mention that Espenlaub is starting to run away. That last lap time at 2:18.7, but what impresses me even more is that his Sector 1 this time is actually faster than the previous lap. So while these two cars battle, and to Ashley's point, while Kopczynski continues to catch up, Espenlaub is running away.
Yeah, for sure. And Will Pilichowski is running a great race here, too, between him and Greg Checky. So this battle is definitely going to keep heating up. And if Tom can make the most of it and just keep running clean laps, he might be able to reel them in.
This is definitely a good fight that we've got to see for these top spots here in the Cayman Pro-Am. Another big look up the inside. Whoa, from way back. Does he actually make the corner? Just about. He drifts a bit wide there, does Bill Pilichowski. In fact, makes me trip over my words, as I did not expect him to be able to come down that way so quickly.
Ashley's spoken quite a bit about the deceleration rates on these GT3 Cup cars, and now obviously that was a Cayman GT4 chassis car, but we were looking at some of the data on the live onboard shots of those 992 cars, and I mean, what were they pulling? 1.5, 1.6 Gs? I think I saw in deceleration these Caymans were about the same.
Yeah, it's actually really amazing how fast these GT4 Caymans are. I mean, they're really not that far off of the GT3 Cup cars. So it's still a very physical car to drive. I know they're a very precise type of driving style as well. So definitely a challenging car, and you learn a lot that way too.
Can see how much closer Kopczynski is behind. It was 3 seconds before. Now it's down to 1.6. Even though the pass has been made, he is coming. Oh, we got a nice little fight down in the, or up in the 992 Cup cars. And this is Johnson, who is second overall. That's not four-class position. That's Reinhold Kron behind him, who's maybe just looking a little bit tired of being sandwiched between all these Pro-Ams.
Oh, a little bit wide there from Joel Johnson. Oh, he's going to lose the car. Spin it. Driver's right out of control through turn number 15. I don't think there's any gravel, so he should be able to maintain, but he just got on the gas a little bit too aggressively, caught a huge tank slapper, and now the rest of the field has some clean air.
It's too early for any of the Pro-Ams to try and pit if we do get a full course caution, but the AMs might have an opportunity to do so. He looks like he's got it going, so that is the good news. But Joel Johnson goes from second overall to now way down the order.
Want to point out as well that John Gilliland just pulled the fastest lap of the race with a 2:11.5. So look at him making a pass here. So he is definitely on fire here going by Hankins. So there might be a little little contact. Hopefully there's no car damage here. It's really challenging if you hit with the front end of these cars. There could potentially be some suspension damage on Hankins' car, but he looks like he's holding on just fine, which is good.
Promoted up into P2, not only with the problems for Johnson, but of course that nice little pass that gets him third overall as well. Next, though, he's got to try and catch up to Demir Hott, which looks like a task because it is more than 11 seconds up to there.
Demir has really taken off. It's almost like he has taken over the position from Scott Blend, running away from the rest of the field out there. A little bit of a shame not to see that bright yellow machine. I mean, he has won every single race so far. I know that he was looking forward to this 90-minute endurance race. I'm sure he's frustrated watching it from the guardrail.
Yeah, and we actually do have our answer to Ted Kravitz down on pit lane with Therese Lalu doing some investigating. I know she's talking to both those teams, the Kelly Moss and the Ruckus Racing, to try and dig it up. In fact, it sounds like she's got the story. Therese, any information on what happened? See if we can get Therese through here. Not hearing her, unfortunately, so we'll try and check in with her a little bit later. But it does sound like she's got something on what happened between those two cars into the first turn of this race, which sadly took away two of our front runners pretty much before the race even got going. So Demir Hott leads overall in the 992s with Charles Espenlaub up at the front in the Cayman cars, and we're just about a third of the way into the race.
I think the dynamic has shifted just a touch up front with that spin that we saw just a little while ago. So with Reinhold Kron in clean and free air, was just able to lay down a 2:12.402, and I compare that to his fastest lap of a 2:12.38. This looks like these cars are navigating through a Cayman GT4 up at the top of the hill here. So all of these cars turning some of their personal fastest laps now that they've got, call it a cleaner track in front of them.
Exactly. We've already had some drama out there early in these stages. Not what you want to see in an endurance race, but it can tend to happen. And those behind are able to pick up on that if they just keep it clean and keep charging forward. So as we watch them up through the S's here, when will we start to see drivers considering those pit stops in the AM classes of the Cup cars and the Caymans? I know one of the rules that they have updated, and I'll need to double check here, is that there is a minimum time for, or minimum/maximum time for some of our AM cars. I think it's at more of a maximum time is what it was, we were told. Just because there's definitely a few drivers that were quite good for the AMs last race, Joey, that spent a whole lot of the race out there.
I think the whole idea behind endurance challenge events like this is to level the playing field. We really want it to become a race amongst the drivers. So that's why all of those pit stop times, they have a mandatory pit stop time, and it gives plenty of leeway for that crew to get that job done in terms of the driver change or anything else that they want to do on the race car itself. And so that way there's not necessarily an advantage on pit lane. Everybody's got to do the same thing. So it really is up to the performance on the racetrack itself.
Exactly. They don't want to complicate it too much. They try to keep the rules pretty simple here, but at the same time, they're looking to give everybody a nice equal shot to try and come away with a good finish here in this series. This is much like sprint challenges, their answer to everybody's kind of first opportunity to really go endurance racing.
So also want to touch on here, we are starting to get into some lap traffic here with the Caymans, which might start to add a little bit of a new element here. We saw on that last lap that Hot was actually a little bit slower on that last lap than Kron, who is in P2 overall. So especially once you start getting further up the Cayman class when they're racing close together, you have to be really strategic on how you're getting by these cars, because they're also in their own race as well as you battling with your own class as well. So you want to make sure you're getting through all of this nice and clean.
This is a battle for second overall, but not for class position. Kron is in that P2. Gilliland wants it. And why this is critical, last lap by, Hot was slower by about 0.4 compared to John. So I kind of wonder if the cow car is actually being held up, and if he gets by, he could maybe try and chase him down.
And to that point, it was actually the lap prior that was even slower for Demir Hot. And this is an opportunity for Gilliland as Kron gets held up by that Cayman GT4. He's late on the brakes into turn number 11. It looks like he's able to secure that pass and out onto the back straightaway. We'll see if Kron's got an answer in the slipstream.
All right, so there's another one of the of the CHR racing cars put down a position, and yeah, I don't think we're seeing him try and charge back through here. So that gives us a chance to go down to Therese Lalu, who has information. Therese, what's going on?
Just making sure you guys can hear me this time. All right, great. I checked in with Josh Conley and Scott Blind. Unfortunately, Josh came in just a little too late on the brakes into one, got into Scott. Conley's pretty torn up about it. I know that it happens to all of us. We're all out here learning, trying to get better. But Scott's pretty upset that this might affect his championship run. He's currently leading the championship, but not by a lot over Reinhold Kron. So every race matters in only a 4-race series. And, kudos to Reinhold Kron and this Charlie Hayes team for really, having consistent progress across not only last year's season, but this year's season in the Caymans and in the Cup class with the Czechis. And now Demir Hot, who has stepped in. He is brand new to this platform and is performing incredibly well, as we saw from him in race 1. I know in race 2 he got shuffled back in the order at the start and maybe wasn't showing as much of that pace as he has, but for someone who's brand new to this car, brand new to this platform, he's actually driving Reinhold Kron's other car. So that's why you see some teammate on teammate action out there, but this should be a good one out here.
Thanks for that, Teresa. Apologies, had a little bit of a technical problem on our side. Now we've got her in our ears so we can get some of that information in the booth. But I do see that lap traffic not being the best of times for John Gilliland coming up through turn 1 with quite a bit of a holdup by Brent, who wasn't really doing anything wrong, just unfortunately sometimes you can catch it at the wrong place at the wrong time, Joey.
That's all part of endurance racing, multi-class racing. You have to be able to read the traffic, not only the traffic that you are racing against in the same class, your competitors around you, but sometimes those slower class cars, if you're in the faster class, obviously, sometimes it's just lifting off the throttle to read where that closing rate is to make sure that you actually don't get held up in a very, very important part. After all, that is exactly how Gilliland was able to get by into second place, make that pass over that 233 car. So lots of skills going on, and sometimes when you're in that slower category car, you just have to keep an eye on your mirror, but you don't want to do anything different out there. As soon as you start having variables and changing your racing line, those drivers that are trying to pass you don't know exactly where to go, and that's where things can kind of unravel.
Back up to our leaders in the Cayman Pro-Ams, at least for third place now, because Pelachowski did get through. So this is Checky versus Kopczynski. Last step on the podium that they're fighting for here in the Caymans. Checky, having slipped back since the start of the race, was looking very quick initially, and then seemed like the car just started to struggle to keep up with the others.
It's almost like Greg and Anna, for being so closely matched together on pace, have two completely different driving styles out there. And Ashley, we saw that Anna takes a few laps to kind of warm up and then really comes into her own, while Greg was out there with his hair on fire, but now he's actually slipping back a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of the beauty with sharing the car as well. And to kind of add to what you were saying with two different driving styles, you also have to sort of compromise with your car setup as well in order to maximize both drivers in this situation. So I'm not really sure if maybe with Greg's scenario right now, if maybe the car is sort of falling off handling wise for him, if the car is set up a little bit different so that it matches both driving styles. But this goes across the board for any driver on the track. So it's just a new challenge, and it forces you to learn more and try different things.
I remember what we said about the AMs having a little bit more of an open window than the Pro-Am classes. Well, Reinhold Kron is taking advantage of that. He's in pit lane now, so that 233 car is going to see Charlie Hayes, the driver who the team is named after, going to be getting into that thing and see if he can take it home to a victory in the AM class.
Just ticked over 1 hour remaining, so 59 minutes and change is what these drivers are going to still have to be able to navigate here in this hot and humid weekend of weather in Austin, Texas here. It has been so incredibly hot. It has been mid-90s every single day that we've been here. Thankfully today we've got a little bit of cloud cover, a little bit of wind out there, and Joe, ambient, only 92.
Only 92, and yet it still feels a little bit better than what we had yesterday. So it sounds like Reinhold is getting out of the car, and we're hearing word from Teresa that he doesn't look too bad, so we'll see what it sounds like when he actually has a chat with her a little bit later. Meantime, the 52 putting so much pressure on Greg Checky. We also hear that they plan to have Anna in that car very soon. They do have to wait because, remember, it's minimum 45 minutes for the AM, which in this case is Greg.
So, Ashley, I'm going to bring you in here again and put you in Greg's shoes. Now, I'm just being theoretical here. What if he's not super happy with the setup of his car, if he's dealing with a really loose condition or something of the sort? What do you tell the driver in that situation to kind of hang on to get it to his co-driver?
Well, there are tools in the car that you can adjust, so it really depends on where the oversteer is taking place, especially if there's oversteer on that initial turn-in. There's a few things you can adjust with your brake application as a driver. Same thing with your turn-in point. You might be able to adjust your line a little bit, so it's really important. Oh, my goodness. Both cars slide and then get into it there. Looks like there might be some damage on Tom Kopczynski's car. Oh, what a bummer.
His right hand down, and the offboard shot tells the tale. Smoke spewing out of the rubbing tire on the left-hand side of that car. He pulls over off of the racing line. This might be a full course yellow.
I have a feeling it will be, because that is not a break in the wall. Now, he did the right thing. Typically, as a driver, you look for those orange markers where the guardrails or where the concrete walls are. That typically signifies either a turn station, a break in the wall, and that's exactly what he saw. I just don't think it's big enough really to fit a sports car behind it. So we've got a car essentially stopped on the back straightaway.
It does look like there's a bit of damage on the back right of Greg Checky's car as well, so he'll probably have to come into pit lane pretty soon. It's still too early for him to be within the rules for a driver change, and Ashley, you don't want to come in for a second stop here in this series.
No, I mean 90 minutes. Oh yeah, we are going full course caution here this lap, so yeah, 90 minutes just isn't long enough to have two separate stops. It would definitely put you in the back of the pack. So if Greg can just hang on to it until that pit window opens, that's ultimately what's going to benefit them the best. But I think probably this full course yellow is a blessing in disguise for Greg. If the car is handling a little off right now, he can kind of milk it until that window opens up. However, if we look up towards the front of the field, this full course caution is probably bringing happy days to John Gilliland, and maybe not so much for Hot.
There is some definite fluid coming off of the car for Tom Kopczynski, and yeah, look at him shaking his head. He's despondent in there. Just really disappointed. That was a bit of a strange one, though, Joey, because we saw the correction, and then something happened with Greg in front of him. So I'm not sure if he was reacting to something we couldn't see.
I think they both got loose going into turn number 11. So we saw the closing rate from Kopczynski onto the back of that yellow car directly in front of him. And that's okay. That's nothing to worry about, because they judge those deceleration rates all the time. But what I think happened is, as soon as Greg really turned in the car, he had a kind of a moment of snap oversteer, and that's when Kopczynski really had to get out of it. That's what he wasn't ready for. He was expecting the car in front to be able to navigate the corner as he should, as normal. Unfortunately, Checky got a little bit loose, had a big tank slapper, and then essentially Kopczynski had nowhere to go. He was already on that rear bumper, and as soon as that car lost control in front of him, it was smacking his windshield.
Well, ever a bundle of energy down on pit lane. Therese has been checking on multiple things, but we haven't had a chance to go in. So, Therese, do you have a whole novel for us?
I do. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we got you.
All right, great. So I just checked in with the CHR team, and the Checkies unfortunately did get a little bit of damage in that contact, but it seems to be okay for now, so they are grateful for this course yellow. I checked in with Reinhold. He did not know that Scott Blend was taken out, so he's feeling pretty good about his championship chances. He's been sharing that car with Charlie Hayes all season, and they're doing a great job. So with the incident with Josh Conley and Blend, he said it looked like Josh came from downtown, and it really reshuffled the order, which enabled him to get up running in second and finish that stint in third.
Thanks for the info. And yeah, things have been kind of turned on their head here early in this race. We're only a third of the way through this 90-minute event, and we've already had major players taken out in both classes and have changed the order significantly as we slow up behind the safety car for the first time here in Texas in 2025. 54 minutes left on the clock. Those in the AM class could pit after this yellow is over. We have special rules here in Porsche Endurance Challenge. As soon as the full course yellow is out, then the pits are closed. So the drivers must wait until we go back to green before they can come back into pit lane. So it's a bit different from what we often see in many a series where drivers will immediately be trying to come into pit lane as soon as the yellow comes out. So what it does do is those who pit early often find themselves gaining quite a bit of time. In the meantime, we do have a special guest with us who knows quite a bit about the cars here. We have Jeff Mosing in the box. Jeff, welcome. It certainly has been an action-packed start to this race.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks for having me in here. Kind of fortuitous to be here. I've got quite a few friends as my alumni from previous years racing Porsche GT3 Cup and Carrera Cup, and so I'm out here pulling for all the good guys, Ryan Yardley, Eric Foss, Owen Trinkler, not in any particular order because I'm pulling for all of them. And of course, there's a lot of other people out here that I know, so it's great to be out here, and it was wonderful to pace the second group out. That was something unexpected and a lot of fun in my own 50th anniversary 911 Turbo, so it was good times.
Yeah, it was cool to see you out there in that. I understand, though, you have a few other connections here to the Endurance Challenge. Randy Hembry is one of the guys at USAC that helps organize all this. I understand that he may have given you a penalty some time ago. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I remember it. It wasn't a good place or time for me to bring it up while we're trying to do some work out there, and it was really a great moment to catch up with him and all the guys here with Porsche, and in the USAC series, of course, as all the people that are doing a great job, and thanks for being out here. But yeah, the funny thing is I can smile when I say it, but that was the start of my relationship with him, is that I had to run into somebody to go meet him.
Sometimes that stuff offers up interesting opportunities. Also, what are your thoughts on what Porsche has been doing here with things such as the Sprint Challenge and the Endurance Challenge? Because, I mean, what great things are they doing for these up-and-coming drivers looking to try and break into motorsports?
Well, I mean, certainly different platforms and different formats to be able to get out there and race, because sometimes sprint racing isn't for everybody, and endurance racing isn't for everybody. So here you have a weekend where you've got a little bit of a variety, so people who want to actually show their strengths, if they're good endurance racers, they can come out here and run the series today, or they can run both, or they can run just the sprint stuff. And so it's really a good interaction between the drivers that are actually participating and some of the coaches, like my good friends, Eric Foss and them. They can all, they're actually still getting a piece of the action, which is great.
And we heard word that lights are out on the pace car, so thankfully it was a very short full course yellow. We're going to be going back to green here in a bit. Talk to us a little bit about our special safety car there leading the second group. I think I saw sight of it down in the pit lane a little bit earlier.
Yeah, Bo, as things would happen, but I was in Austin proper, I guess about 2.5 hours ago, and Bo texted me and said he wanted to, if I had anything available to give his family a ride around in a car around COTA, and there was nothing more appropriate actually at that moment in time than what I was in, which was my 911 50th anniversary Turbo S. Fantastic car. I'm having some small back issues, and running anything tighter than that, like the GT4 RS that's pacing, might have been a little bit too stiff for me. So the S was like a perfect car to get out there, and could definitely keep up with the pace. And I was never more excited to hear somebody tell me to go 70 miles an hour.
I can only imagine. It's awesome to have you. It looks like we are getting ready to go back racing here shortly, as leading Demir Hott, our pace car, getting ready to unleash him. Now for Gilliland, that gap has been cut down, and he has a great opportunity. And look at that, even before we get to that final corner, Joey, Demir Hott is already trying to take off.
He is trying to get on the gas as soon as possible, and Gilliland is trying to give chase. If anything, it's actually Mim that's going to be making an aggressive move coming up on this restart here into turn number 1. So watch that red and black car, that 295, and now we're even 3 wide going into turn number 1, a little bit further back. Look at all the cars skating around for grip.
And poor Greg Herback is in the middle of that, saying, please guys, give me a little bit of room. I am not fighting with you. I'm just trying to win this race. So far, he has managed to get away without too much incident in amongst that group. Currently, he's trying to go away from Brent in the 86, just behind him.
This is a difficult spot to be in. You see that GT3 Cup car work its way around the outside of that Cayman GT4, just behind a sneaky little move up the inside. That was a nice move executed directly behind that Cayman GT4, and now Herback still just trying to be patient as the rest of the field works its way through.
Yeah, you can see Greg really doesn't want to hold anybody up, but there's only so many places he can pull to the side. Now allowing other cars through. I think that was Johnson that managed to sneak past. Wilgis trying to run away from Joel Johnson, who he's fighting for that position down there in the Pro-Am class. Now they head down the back stretch, and it is a whole flurry of cars. Johnson, is this actually Mim? He might be catching up to him, trying to make out who that is. He's deeply outbraking him, though.
Yeah, definitely really deep on the brakes into turn number 12. Was able to execute that quite nicely there and able to move up that next position. I believe that shows Joel Johnson in the car as of right now.
Yeah, Joel Johnson, I think that was Ross Poole in the 285 that he just passed by there. Mim behind him after he having been overtaken. Eric Lapp also not that far back there. This caution has definitely changed the complexion of things very quickly, and we're almost at the halfway mark, so in about 2 more minutes, our Pro-Am class cars will see the Am have the ability to pit in.
That worked out quite conveniently as on the front straightaway, Gilliland is all over the back of Demir Hott, less than a quarter of a second behind our overall leader right here. They are working their way up to turn number 1 as we see Wilgus and Johnson, Poole, Mim, Lapp in this group.
That should be fun, that battle for the lead. Let's see as Toombs is coming to pit lane. Greg Checky is coming to pit lane, and coming around the outside, it looks like we have managed to get through safely, though Mim wanted to go by Poole, just wasn't there. Johnson now running away from the pair of them. I assume this is to deal with the rules on the drive time, that they are allowed to pit in this lap and still hit that minimum time.
It worked out quite conveniently with our leaders coming across start finish pretty much exactly at 47 minutes remaining. So that means once they come back around, and if they do opt to hit pit road, that'll pretty much be splitting the race right down the middle, 45 minutes per stint.
We've talked often about the junior program, the female driver program here that Porsche North America has put together, Porsche Motorsports North America. Therese has a little bit of an update on the various drivers in this series right now.
Yeah, this is a very busy pit lane right now, but with another race that's happening across other series, it means that we have some new visiting drivers. So, of course, we've got Demir Hott, who's new, but he's driving with Ryan Yardley, one of our, Carrera Cup kids who's been doing incredibly well in Carrera Cup. But going in, I see Zach Vanier and Madeline Stewart ready to take the reins from Mike Mim and Eric Lapp. And these guys are all running in the top 5 right now. So this is going to become a true battle between our junior driver, Zach Vanier, our female driver, Madeline Stewart. We've got a lot of visiting drivers like Jason Hart coming back to this series. Trenton Estep, the 2018 GT3 Cup Championship champion, is driving with Joel Johnson, with Darius Trinka unfortunately ill this weekend. So we're going to see some really great action for some really big rock stars, including Aaron Johnson, Yardley, all these guys.
And it looks like Gilliland is actually coming in now with that mention of Johnson. Is going to be replaced by our race winner from last year. It's Sonoma, or at least I think on the podium. At the very least, I'll have to check my notes on that one. You can see already trying to get ready to hop out of the car as John Gilliland looks for his crew down at the end of the lane. Now, minimum pit stop time. That is a safety measure that they run in the Porsche Endurance Challenge. This is to give the teams a chance to really get used to these pit stops. They will be changing tires and they will be refueling, but they are not allowed to do so at the same time. Looks like Hankins also in pit lane, Mim, Dan Ammon as well, all in to pit lane at this stage. Bill Pelichewski is also in. Charles Espinlaub, though, will be staying out. He's got the likes of Brandon Chappell waiting for him to take over in that Pro-Am class. So we've hit the halfway mark, drivers swapping in and out. And this is right immediately after we had a full course yellow out here, so it is certainly all mixed up on track. We're gonna have to wait until after the pit stop to really get a feel on where everybody sits. A big thank you, of course, to Mr. Mosing for coming and joining us. And Ashley is back with us in the booth now. Ashley, how as a driver do you keep track of everything that is going on out there? Because, I can't. We have a bigger overview.
Yeah, ultimately you have to just focus on your own program because, there is a lot going on, a lot of different drivers, pit stops, strategies, all kinds of things. So you have to focus on your own program, and that's the only way that you can make the most out of it.
Outlap looks like for Toombs, Checky, Tartaglione, Brent in the 86, as well as Greg Herback, although Herback now showing behind a number of them, interestingly. We'll see if he manages to get that back soon, because he was leading that AM class a little bit earlier. Surprising to see him suddenly sitting fourth out of those cars. Of course, we're still waiting for Petkis to take his pit stop. And that was Demir Hott we saw going down into pit lane. Wilgus will join. Johnson will join. Is this the remainder of our drivers? Yes, it is. Poole now pitting in. I expect to see Lap following as well. No, it looks like he carries on.
Yeah, it looks like Lap stays out on the racetrack. I believe that is the 233 of Charlie Hayes behind him as well. So this 297 essentially going to leapfrog up into the lead while everybody else is on pit lane. But then they are going to have to make their stop here eventually. And speaking of that 233 that's giving chase right now, Purple, fastest lap, a 2:10.8. He's charging up towards the front of the field.
Did see something we had missed. The incident in our Caymans between the 72 and the 52 was investigated. No further action taken. Meanwhile, going on by Eric Lapp, I believe that was Charlie Hayes in the 233. Still trying to see if he can take the overall lead in this one. In fact, he, yes, will now be the overall leader with that pass. That said, when Demir Hott comes out, Demir might also take back that top spot.
Well, it just depends on these pit stop cycles. Of course, we talked about that mandatory pit stop time, so everybody's time in the box is going to be the same. Now, you can kind of slip up and take up too much time in pit lane, and that can cost you some track position, but usually these drivers, these crews know exactly how to execute, so they are right on that stopwatch, minimizing that time.
I take back what I said before. I realized that Hott's still behind him in pit lane right now. I believe this 233, they pitted before the yellow. Yeah, so we've seen this strategy play out multiple times. Now, usually it's been Scott Blend that does that one, but he hasn't had the opportunity to do that this race. So Charlie Hayes has picked up the torch and shown that it is definitely possible to try and use that early stop strategy to jump a number of people.
And I think crucially, it was well before the yellow flag too, so he was able to stay on the lead lap. And what we haven't seen out of that 245 car was to be able to stay on the lead lap both at Sebring and at Sonoma during those full course yellow pit stop events. So here we see Eric Lapp diving down into pit lane. He's going to take his pit stop as Charlie Hayes continues out on the racetrack in the lead.
So the 241 looks like they're coming back out onto track as well with Yardley and Bloom as well returning. But passing them on the track itself, we have Lee and Janson quite close together on the circuit. That is going to be a fun battle. That moves them up into what should be second. I know it's showing Lap in front of them, but that'll update once they go past the next sector.
And we'll just have to kind of see the reason why I had mentioned that 245 car and going a lap down in those pit stop strategy cycles in those previous races, that eventually it played off, or I should say it paid off, and he was able to kind of regain the lead side by side directly behind there. So action definitely heating up with, call it these coaches, these pros, definitely now in the cars, ramping up those performance levels.
Yeah, I think that was Connor Bloom. Sorry, go ahead there, Ashley.
Yeah, actually, I think that's Zach Vanier. He's been charging forward and passing a lot of cars, even around the outside of some of these corners, so he is on a mission, no doubt.
Yeah, Vanier and Bloom, I think the ones that are battling with one another at this stage, because that's Wilkes' car. He is sharing it with Connor Bloom. He's right in the tire tracks coming down into the braking of turn 12, but just a slight defense from Zach will dissuade him.
Nice job to kind of outbrake him, but at the same time, not a huge lunge down the inside, or I should say effort to kind of make that pass. That is one cool thing about having all of these top talented drivers in the car. You get to see some excellent racecraft. So not only are the co-drivers learning from the data, they're also learning from the video, but now they actually get to sit on the pit box, probably pull up the live stream with these TV images and see how these pros really do it on the racetrack.
Going to correct myself. That's actually Trent Estep there that he's been battling with. Vanier in front of the purple and white machine. but Bloom is for sure in the Wilgus car with the silver and green. But man, what a lineup right there. Vanier, Estep, and Bloom all fighting together on track.
It's pretty impressive, and I mean, Ashley, those are all drivers that you have gone elbow to elbow with.
Yeah, they are all super fast as well. I know the front two have both won Carrera Cup races, so a lot of talent stacked right here in this screen.
And if they keep battling, though, unfortunately, with Lee and Janson up in first and second in class, they could lose touch with them relatively easily. Andy Lee, the top car in that Pro-Am class, while Charlie Hayes is still your leader in AMs. Lonnie Pechnik has taken over in the 216, but separated by literally the entire Pro-Am field.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. All of these pros in the car now are definitely starting to stack up. I see Andy Lee quite a bit behind Charlie Hayes just because of how that pit stop cycle worked out, but I also see Janson right behind him, about 1.9 seconds, then Yardley, then Vanier, then Estep, then Bloom, that fight that we're watching.
Yeah, so that's why you see those gaps on the left-hand side of your screen, say 2 minutes for all of those cars, and then a whole bunch of them 1 lap down already. Hayes used this to perfection.
Oh, and here comes an aggressive move down into turn number 12. Let's see if he's able to outbrake him a little bit wide from that car on the outside of Hayes, and now through goes into the position, the purple and white car, and now he's under attack again. This is so tough to constantly slip backwards.
Now remember, this is trying to get their lap back. That's Charlie Hayes. He is, well, he shouldn't be trying to defend there, I don't think, unless he thinks they can run him down an entire lap, because they're all in a different class. Charlie Hayes running in the AM category, the AM class, while all of those cars are Pro-Ams. Just what we had been talking about earlier, the way this works out, the early pit stop means that Charlie Hayes essentially put a lap on nearly the entire field. Just the timing worked perfectly for him.
That's the way, if you've got an aggressive strategist on the box, you can really work this thing out. And given the really long lap here at COTA, I mean, they capitalized on it. But now that these, call it pro drivers, are through from Charlie Hayes, Charlie can now kind of take notes. And really, with his 2-minute lead, all he's got to do is manage the stuff.
Got some information on one of Charlie Hayes' other drivers out there. Therese, what's the scoop?
So I just found out that that's the first time Demir Hott has ever led a race of any kind. To do that here at Porsche Endurance Challenge in this lineup is truly incredible. And again, he's swapped in Ryan Yardley, who, you know, just came home with P2 at Miami at Carrera Cup. So that's a real threat of a lineup. But big kudos to Demir Hott, leading a race for the first time in his first time in a GT3 Cup car.
Ticking another box of the achievements I'm sure he'd like to have during his racing career. Next up, we'll see if he can manage to take a win. But at this stage, they're currently sitting third in class, fourth overall. And the battle is pretty much for that second place. Look at that, 1.4 seconds, 2.5 seconds, 6.7 down from second, third, fourth overall. And those are all the pros in the Pro-Am class that have hopped into it. From what we saw at Sonoma, Joey, it's going to provide us some real action at the end.
I'm looking at the lap times. Andy Lee, 2:09. Janson, 2:09. Yardley, 2:09. Vanier, 2:09.1. Fastest lap of the race. Estep, 2:09. Bloom, 2:09. I mean, these guys are absolute rocket ships out there. Those are qualifying times that they're doing on essentially a full load of fuel.
Yeah, our timing screen lit up like a Christmas tree when these pros got in the car. They are showing why they've got that pro classification just incredibly fast on board with the 233 of Charlie Hayes. The other thing that hopefully Charlie is aware of is the fact that he has such a gap to Pechnik.
Something else that I'm noticing on timing and scoring is our Cayman overall lead is incredibly close. Right now, it is held on by that HM Motorsports driver, Brandon Chappell, but Robin Liddell is here in that number 62 Kelly Moss road racing car, and he is lighting up the board right now. He is less than 1/10 of a second behind our leader.
That's going to be fun to watch. Brandon Chappell's team has been kind of nicknamed the Red Shoe Crew. And we'll have to see if those shoes are hot today with the way that they have managed to take the lead, but it's clearly not in the solid grasp yet.
Still riding on board here with the 233, navigating over this technical section of Circuit of the Americas. This is, of course, Sector 1 as we jump over now to this battle with our Cayman overall lead. So that is Brandon Chappell leading Robin Liddell up into turn number 1. Slightly defensive. He already feels the pressure.
Looking around the outside, Liddell thinking maybe he could cut back underneath. Very shallow entry there for Brandon, but it looks like he'll hold on to the top spot for now. So on the back foot and trying to play defense.
Yeah, but look at Robin. I mean, he is one of the best sports car racers out there, especially in these categories of car. I'm talking about GT4 cars. He closed it up so much right there on Chappell through the S's. He is just patiently waiting. Trust me, he is an aggressive race car driver, but he is not going to go get the elbows out and push and shove you out of the way. He is going to be patient. He is going to wait for the opportune time, and then he will strike.
They do have some room to try and do so. Anichecki is back by about 18 seconds right now. Big defense once again from Chappell down into turn 11. Can Liddell manage to cut back underneath, get himself the launch? It certainly looks like it as they get very close, in fact rubbing doors down the back straightaway.
It was just such an early turn-in from our overall leader, and it really compromised his exit, and Robin read that perfectly, really opened up the radius of turn number 11, but now that HM car has got some great top speed. Robin deep on the brakes, down on the inside. Looks like he's secured the pass.
Yep, nicely done. Didn't even get the cut back, did Chappell. So he'll have to try again a little bit later, although he almost gets the nose underneath. That was wide coming into 13 for Liddell, leaving the door open just a little bit. Goes to the inside, coming down into 15 now, and parks it at the apex. This one's not done with yet.
Yeah, this is a great fight right here as we're riding on board with Robin Liddell here in this number 62 car. You got to remember that he has a tremendous amount of experience in these GT4 cars, but not necessarily in this Cayman GT4 platform. While Brandon Chappell, this is pretty much all he drives. He understands the car underneath him. He knows exactly where to place it. That's why he's still hounding the back of our leader.
And Therese has been talking to the teammate of Chappell here. Therese, what's going on with Espinlaub?
Well, Espinlaub, first of all, looked incredibly fresh getting out of the car, but he knew that they had their work cut out for them trying to keep Robin back there. But, you know, Espinlaub did not get the advantage that Pelichowski did, which is, you know, to practice and set up the car over the course of the sprint races. So they feel like, you know, they did as much as they could to develop the car, but it's definitely tough going against Pelichowski and Liddell with that advantage.
So obviously some differences, and of course, with how they run the programs here with some of these teams between the Sprint Challenge and this race, the Endurance Challenge, that can maybe offer you some advantages if you utilize what's available to you. And nicely done to Pelichowski for really picking this up and giving himself a chance to maybe come away with a win, as Robin Liddell is in the car for him right now and leading in all of the Caymans.
Just to kind of touch on Teresa's point, you know, not having much seat time in the car, talking about Charles Espinlaub, the co-driver of Brandon Marshall, this car that we're watching right here going down the back straightaway. I really feel like as a professional driver, one of the strengths that you need to have is to be able to get into the race car with zero practice time and be able to go out there and actually perform on the racetrack. And that's exactly what we saw. He didn't necessarily grab pole position because Greg Checky had that awesome lap, but when it came time to actually go racing, I mean, he was right on it.
Certainly, and you can see here that still in second place and maybe losing a little bit here and there, but it's not massive amounts at this stage. All it takes is another little slip up from that Nerds machine, and you could see Chappell back in the hunt for that one. Tartaglione is actually leading down in the Cayman AMs, and that is by about 5 seconds right now. Greg Herback doing a great job getting back into this. He's back up to second position, but Manny currently leading down in the 59.
Yeah, and of course, Manny's been improving all season long, collecting a couple of those Pro-Am wins in that Cayman Sprint Challenge race that we were covering a little bit earlier today, and then of course really celebrating about a month ago back at Sonoma with those first place trophies as well. So good to see the Tartagliones not only racing that Sprint Challenge, but here in the Endurance Challenge leading the class.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is he hasn't really been able to show what he can do now that he's got a number of other drivers in this AM class. It looks like Manny is really showing that he has got more speed than maybe others would have thought. Meanwhile, as we check back in with Vanier and Estep, this is for 4th in Pro-Am for the 992s.
And actually, if we look at the leaders in the Pro-Am, they are also really, really close together. Looks like Aaron is just 6/10 behind Andy Lee, who is in the lead. So this battle is also heating up in the front. Yardley is not far behind either in P3, 1.6 seconds behind Aaron. So it's going to be a tight race, I think.
Down into the final corner once again as our two 992 Cup drivers check off another lap. It's going to be a little bit too far back probably for a move up into Big Red. This is just outside the podium within class that these two are fighting, but I don't think they want to give up too much time. It's 8 seconds up the road to catch Yardley. That is doable in 26 minutes, but it'll take some hustle.
And these cars are trying to hunt down the front of the pack here, or I should say at least the front of their class, because Charlie Hayes is in a different league right now, still 1 minute and 53 seconds to the good in terms of that overall lap time. But Aaron Janson did make that pass on Andy Lee, so he now leads that GT3 Cup class, at least as his category, and Andy Lee has slipped back to second.
One thing I do love about seeing Janson out here once again is his story is a pretty neat one. Because he's had to fight for his chance to go racing here. He hasn't necessarily come in with a whole lot of funding, but has proven it with his talent. He's gone so far as actually been an Uber Eats driver while he was trying to get his racing career going. Can you imagine having that show up at your doorstep?
Maybe a cool burnout leaving too.
Yeah.
Maybe we can request him.
There you go.
The food would get there quite quickly.
I think that'll be one extra star on his rating, no doubt, for those who get him as their delivery boy. But in the meantime, he's trying to deliver a trophy today, and Andy Lee is going to try and deny him that.
So this is that three-car fight up at the front of the field that we've been talking about. So Janson, Andy Lee, and then of course Yardley, that third car, call it the caboose on the train. And that Moo Cow, the 280, was just able to make that pass this previous lap, so he's trying to run away right now from Andy Lee. He's got about 6/10 to the good, and I'm looking at the lap times. It looks pretty fast. He's going to be coming across start-finish right about now at 2:10.0. You compare that to all of the other lap times that are going on, it's actually the fastest race car on the track currently.
Yeah, it's really been pretty good for him. At this stage of the race. Now he just needs to bring it home for the next 24 minutes in this 90-minute event. I do love what we've been seeing in this Pro-Am class. Yes, sadly, our AM class in the 992s kind of got taken away there with two of them wrecking out in the first corner, but with so many cars here in this Pro-Am class and so many of them close on pace, it has basically been non-stop that they've been nose to tail out there, including what we've got here with the 241 of Yardley, just getting ever closer to Andy Lee. In fact, looking like he might be able to make an attack.
Let's see about the run going down here into 11. Does Andy go defensive? It's on the right side of the racetrack, and it looks like Yardley's already made the pass on the brakes. Andy's going to try to do an over-under. I mean, how many times have we seen this throughout the weekend? If you creep too far forward on that entry of the corner, it really compromises your exit.
The corner's just so tricky because of the way that corner is shaped. It's really easy to look to the apex too early and turn in a little too early. Let's see if he holds this car out wide here, parks him at the apex, and maybe an over-under. No, he makes it stick.
Oh, late switch though. He sees just enough of a gap, but no, he shuts the door. Lee is not going to let him through. Meanwhile, they manage to go side by side down through 14, but a little bit of grass upsets the car. Way too deep, or is this another switch back between them? The battle rages on.
No, definitely not too deep, but the only problem, it's tough the long way around this really, really long sweeping right-hander, so he's going to have to give back up and tuck back in line behind Andy Lee. But no, he didn't take it too deep going into turn number 15. He saw that Andy was going defensive on the shallow line. He just simply opened up that radius and tried to capitalize on the exit.
Andy's having to work hard. Well, we know that he's very good on the defense from what we saw at Sonoma, so he's had lots of practice with this.
I don't think he got a single lap at Sonoma inside the car without a car literally on his bumper, and here comes a deep move to pass a Cayman GT4 going up into turn number 1, so it looks like both of those drivers able to navigate it quite cleanly, and I think that was important from Yardley too, not to push the issue in turn number 1, knowing that there was that traffic there.
And great work by Brent there in the Cayman just to let them by. He's another one of the drivers that's doing this race solo. He's got to be absolutely exhausted in that thing.
It's a long time to be in that race car, isn't it? And plus pre-grid, plus the outlap, everything going up to the race, and then actually having to perform. It has been over an hour in terms of the race start distance so far. So, yeah, the heat going to be creeping in, and these drivers definitely going to be feeling it.
The 49 has retired. That is Herback. He was up to second. And now suddenly that car is out of the race. Brent now finds himself P2. Petkus onto the podium. We don't have word as to what happened out there. We'll see what we can track down as to why that car is no longer in it.
I see a lap time of a 2:41 from Herback as Andy Lee continues to defend from Yardley. Oh, look at this. This is so deep on the brakes. Room given from Andy at apex. Yardley's going to push the issue on the outside, but this is deja vu, exactly what we saw last lap.
Around the long way of turn 13, but just gets fed out this time. Not sure that we'll get any heroics, although we did see a pretty good over-under. This time, though, I don't think he's got quite that opportunity. So Yardley versus Lee just won't seem to let up here late in this race, and the more they do that, the more Aaron Janson continues to distance himself.
I mean, the timing and scoring proves it. Andy Lee defensive, trying not to give up a position. Last lap time a 2:12.2. Janson a 2:10.4. They're all coming across the line right now. In fact, Janson picks it up even more. A 2:09. Andy's still in the 2:11s. Here comes an opportunity possibly in turn number 1.
Ryan's right there, and just like last time, there is lap traffic in the way. This time he's finding room down to the inside. Does that Cayman know that they're going to be there? Gives them just a little bit of space, and he makes it stick. Yardley with an impressive move into Big Red.
That was greatly executed. Now, crucially, they both clear that Cayman GT4. Nice heads up. I believe that is Tartaglione leading the class with now a 12-second lead.
Man, he doesn't want to get in their way. He does not want to give away a potential win in the AM class, certainly with the gap that he's got over Brent right now, which is about 12 seconds. So he's sitting pretty at this stage. It's looking like Lee's car just does not have what Yardley's does, as he is continuing to stretch it now that he's gotten by.
It's a rather deflating position to be in, Ashley, isn't it? When you in the race car, other people are passing you. Sometimes it's just down to the car. It may not match perfectly with the driver and how they like to be driving. What all can Andy do?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, he's just got to focus forward and keep driving the equipment that he has and stay adaptable as well. You can always find time in a car, even if you feel like, man, this car isn't handling the way that I want it to. You can adjust things in the car, and you can adjust things within yourself as the driver to try to make the car do what you want it to do. So the key as well is to not get too frustrated. You don't want those emotions to take over. You have to be very analytical and focusing on the driving and being very present.
I like to call it removing myself from the race car. Don't let the emotions creep into the cockpit. Look at it from up above and understand the big picture.
So it sounds like Therese has had a chance to chat with Tatum Racing that runs the 49 car. They have an issue with the braking system. unfortunately, that was enough to put them out. They have officially retired, and that's why that car has fallen off the podium. Well, it looked like he was starting to run away at first, but now Yardley is being kept honest by Andy Lee here for this second position in the 992 Pro-Am class.
Also want to point out that with these two battling, this has allowed Estep, Venier, and Bloom to start to reel them in. That last lap, they were about a second faster than those two. So that also tells you how much time you lose when you're battling with other people. So Aaron has been able to pull away quite a bit, and now you have 4th, 5th, and 6th starting to reel you in as well. So with these two drivers, you don't want to make it a 5-car battle. So there could be also a sense of, hey, let's just stay in line and pull away from everybody.
And I'm sure that the team is on the radio to Andy Lee right now telling him there are those couple cars or multiple cars closing in that are a little bit faster. So Andy's probably on the radio, okay, how much time we got left? How much can I manage this thing? Let's make this work.
Yeah, you could see them in your mirrors coming down that back straightaway. So they are not, a bit of a slide there by Andy. So it does look like he's struggling a little bit with that rear end.
Also, I know it's been showing Yardley dropping down the order. You can ignore that. Trust what you're seeing with your eyes right now instead, because he's still up in that second position in class. There we go. It corrects itself. So apologies for a little bit of a transponder issue there with that 241 car. This is all still happening. About 3/4 of a lap behind Charlie Hayes, who still leads the overall, but Charlie is also racing in the AM class for the 992s, so will not be affecting the finishing order for the Pro-Am class here that we've been watching through this portion of the race. Meanwhile, behind them, we were earlier watching Liddell versus Chappell. That's separated to about 2.6 seconds for the Cayman lead.
I think I would still consider that a pretty good step forward. Robin Liddell is just one of the fastest in these GT4 cars. It is going to be tough to beat that driver on any day of the week in any machinery out there. So I think the more that Brandon can hang with the back of the 62, I would consider that a good moral win.
No doubt, I agree with you on that one. And as we come up to Anna Checki, currently sitting 3rd in class here for the Pro-Ams in the Caymans. Still at about, I'm seeing 27 seconds behind in Chappell, so she's probably just trying to bring this one home. But another valuable podium for her and Greg after missing out on the podium at Sonoma.
That was a tough place that those two cars caught her in the really fast S's, so hopefully that didn't cause too much of a bottle up through there.
Meanwhile, watching our overall leader, Charlie Hayes, in the 233, also just cruising along. I think by this stage, because with this new rule set, Joey, we kind of were a little bit, I wouldn't say confused, but we were unsure of what would be the prime strategy for the pit stops and the rules on the yellow. But now it very clearly is, if you can get away with pitting early, you should take it.
Absolutely. Well, if you can pit early and then a yellow flag comes out essentially before everybody else can complete those pit stops, it can provide you a huge advantage if you stay on the lead lap. Now, Scott Blend and Ruckus Racing have also proven back at Sebring and also Sonoma in those endurance challenge events that even if you do go a lap down in that pit stop cycle, you can still get back up there and win the thing overall. It's just that it worked out even better for the 233 not to go down that one lap, and when that full course yellow came out, he essentially eliminated that pit stop. Everybody's packed back up, and once we went green flag racing, everybody else then had to come down pit lane.
Exactly. So now that all the teams probably have a much better idea of how it works, we might see a little bit of convergence of strategies later on in the season. Although we only have just a couple more to go between Road America and Road Atlanta later on this year, as we watch Charlie Hayes just down through turn 13. 14 minutes really left on the clock to wrap up today's event.
To kind of dive more into that, if we all had a crystal ball to be able to time when those yellows come out, then we'd all be in the lead, right? But it's really hard to judge that, and all you can look at is previous trends of previous races. Okay, there were this many yellows, they generally happen at this time, so the strategist on your team tries to plan the pit stops around that. However, you just never know what could happen in a race and at what time. So he got really lucky with this one, and he's doing a great job maintaining this first place.
And I think one of the worst things you can do as a strategist is bank on a yellow. You can never be demanding a yellow flag comes out. You have to read the race, and like Ashley said, the trends of what happens to these racers out there on the racetrack. Do you think a yellow flag could possibly come out, but you can't necessarily guarantee it?
Really glad to see this 62 car as well have a good race, because we had talked a lot during the Sprint Challenge races how Bill unfortunately had a very awful accident in the first race of the weekend in the Sprint Challenge, and didn't even get to take part in race 2 nor the endurance race there. He wasn't able to make it to Sonoma in time. So this is the first time we're seeing this 62 team take to the endurance challenge, and in their first go of 2025 they're looking at a potential win.
I love a good redemption story.
It is a redemption story for sure, and especially with the new livery, the new chassis out here, and obviously performing at a top level.
It's definitely a feel-good story for this team, and I know we're a little bit partial to this paint scheme as well.
It probably tastes good too.
Yeah, well, I would recommend licking it though if I were you. No, it's a really charming one. My favorite part is right here in the rear. They got that one little nerd,
cute.
yeah, that's peeking over the rear bumper.
Very reminiscent of a little Yoshi on the back.
Yeah, it does.
Yoshi.
Oh, yeah, it does kind of have that feel to it. But it's hard not to smile when you see this thing go by on the racetrack. It's a good follow-up for the tank car after everybody really loved that one. But regardless of livery, it's the speed that's what matters when you get out on the racetrack. The speed is there, the racecraft is there. Liddell and Pelichowski in control with nearly 10 minutes left.
So I also want to point out, if we go back up to the GT3 Cup class, Trenton Estep has been reeling in Andy Lee. He is really pretty close behind now. The last few laps he was closer to 4 seconds behind. Now he's at 1.6 seconds. So that's going to be a battle for the podium.
That's going to be fun. Certainly to watch if he gets up there to Lee. Of course, Yardley ahead of him. Unfortunately, my timing and scoring with the transponder issues is not telling me how close they are at this stage. But I don't think it had separated too much. So there's still plenty to fight for if you're Trenton. And the 227 has a good burst of speed here late in the race to potentially get himself on the podium.
So it looks like Andy has fallen about 2.2 seconds behind that number 241 car, but the battle we're definitely looking for is the 295 versus that 227 out there. Estep is now under 1 second back from that red and black car that Andy Lee has been driving for Loftus Motorsports here today. So the pressure is once again approaching in that rear view mirror for him.
That's what we want to see, though. We love that convergence towards the end of the race to give us some spice here at the very end. In the meantime, watching the 83 at Petkus, who's been doing a good job there, still looking at a podium. Actually will be confirmed at least on the podium in this race, since Herbach's number 49 has sadly had to retire prematurely. But it's all about just being able to bring it to the checkered flag for them from here on out. Looks like they might actually get lapped by Liddell in that 62, but again, they don't need to worry about that. They can just let them on through.
Got our leader catching more Caymans as we head into the S's. It's a really high-speed section, and it's really challenging to make passes happen through there. So hopefully Aaron gets through that traffic clean, because Yardley's also not that far behind. Last couple laps he has been faster, slowly reeling him in, although with 9 minutes left, I don't know if he'll be able to catch him unless something wild takes place.
Reinhold Kron started this car, handed it over to Charlie Hayes. Definitely used strategy to great effect. Sometimes, though, it feels like Kron has been a little bit snake bit by some bad luck in races. So for things to kind of turn around, I'd say he was owed one a little bit.
And the strategy worked out perfect, and now all Charlie needs to do is run a race that is completely clean. Don't put yourself in any sort of danger. If you run up on a car that's slower than you, especially in the same class, be careful getting around it. Same thing with those Cayman GT4 cars. When you run up on the back of them, essentially let them know very clearly what piece of racetrack you are going for. If it's going to be a dive down the inside, present the car halfway down the straightaway so they clearly see you. Move out drivers left or drivers right. Just keep the car as safe as possible. Be reporting those temperatures to the team. Keep care of your equipment.
Speaking of caring for the equipment, very glad to see we've only lost 4 of the 22 in this race so far, knocking the nearest piece of wood. Yeah, the attrition rate hasn't been too great in this rate. We do want to see as many cars as possible manage to see the checkered flag out here and get everybody as much experience possible as we can out on the track. Still riding on board with Charlie, showing us how it's done out at the front of the fields, going now through the carousel and down towards the end of the lap. 7.5 more minutes now. Minutes just slowly ticking down. It's been a long race weekend. You can't run out of juice yet.
It's been a long race weekend. It has been a hot race weekend, but guess what? The checkered flag is in sight, coming up to about 7 minutes remaining out here. Charlie Hayes doing a fantastic job just managing exactly what he needs to. He's primarily been in the 212s. That last lap was actually quite fast, a 2:11.00 out of our overall leader. So not quite as fast as some of the pros behind him, but guess what? He is under no threat, under no pressure at all. Just keep on turning those consistent laps.
Yeah, he can afford to lose a number of tenths per lap, even a second or two per lap, and still wind up with the lead easily by the time this is over. I'm sure Janson also in that 280, he and Gilliland going to be just over the moon, having taken the win there in the Pro-Am class if they can get to the finish on this one. And then Andy Lee, of course, behind, at least holding on to a second place, it looks like, or at least a third place, I should say, after having to fight very hard with Yardley.
I gotta say that the 227 car is right on the back of the 295. I see only a 0.3 of a second difference on timing and scoring, and I'm talking about Trenton Estep hunting down Andy Lee. And of course, that is a fight for the final step on that class podium.
That's a good point. So it's not as sure as I was making it sound then. Andy Lee already having to play a rear guard. Will he again have to get his elbows out to try and prevent Estep from getting by?
Trying to find exactly where they are on the racetrack. I know they're in Sector 3, actually a little bit ahead of our overall leader, since he's got, call it about a minute and 50 gap on them, and they're doing about 2:10s out there, so he should be about 20 seconds up the road, probably coming through turn 19, turn 20. In fact, here they are out onto the front straightaway. Now we can visually see the gap.
That's Estep in the multicolored car behind. The black and red is Andy Lee in the 295. He's been slipping backwards since the halfway point of this race when he hopped inside, clearly hustling it, taking it all the way out to the edge of the track.
See the rest of the cars up and over turn number 1. That is our Cayman GT4 class leader of Robin Liddell in that Nerds machine. The battle we were just watching was a couple cars in front of this one as he navigates up through the S's quite cleanly. Here is that battle. Estep still about, call it 10 car lengths behind Andy Lee, and ever since Andy had kind of given up those couple of spots, he's actually settled into a really nice rhythm out there. He's been doing consistent 2:10s, but the problem is Estep is going even faster.
And Ashley, I mean, if you're in Estep's shoes, well, how do you approach this? Do you go like that and get aggressive, or do you try to be calculated about when you try and get by?
I think it's a balance between being calculated and being aggressive. As we saw, Andy was struggling a little bit with the rear end of that car, but he has reeled it back in, so he is making adjustments, whether it's to his driving or to the tools inside the car, whatever it is. He has found some more speed here and not making it easy for Trenton. So I think for Trenton, he's probably just going to have to wait for Andy to make some kind of mistake to get past him, because since they are such similar speeds right now, it's going to be really challenging to get by.
The problem I see with waiting for Trenton, though, I know that there's, call it 3.5 minutes remaining. If these two do get into a battle side by side, Vanier is only 2.9 seconds back. You see him just on the exit of that shot right there. So if they battle, we've already seen how much it can slow people up.
And on top of that, Vanier has the fastest lap in the race, so you know he's quick. So yeah, you're right. This is going to be a balancing act on what do you do if you're Trenton Estep. You want that champagne. They're done with the racing after this one for the weekend. You can enjoy those celebrations, but he's going to have to try and make an overtake to do it. 3 minutes just about as they cross the line to try and finish this one.
Yeah, he's going to have to get a bit closer in order to make the move on him. He's just not quite there yet. I think it will probably have to be under braking or maybe timing the stadium section so that he's ultimately on the inside going into the carousel.
It looked to me like the rear of that red machine was just sliding around a bit on the exit of turn 1. I wonder if the tires are starting to feel it.
Probably. You know, it's been, 45 plus minutes that these drivers have been taking everything that they can get out of these Yokohama tires, so they are hanging on. But it is up to those drivers, like we heard Ashley say. You can make some adjustments in the cockpit. And look at Estep. This is the run he was looking for. Up and over the curb, kind of box him just a touch, but he's half a car length back.
My goodness, he bounced over that thing on the inside of 9. Just about gave him the run, but not quite there. This forces a defensive move from Lee. Estep tries to cut back underneath, but no dice this time. Down the back straightaway. He is within about a car length. Will that be enough to pull him in the slipstream?
For Estep, he knows that Andy sees him behind, because as soon as he got that good run, Andy started to get a bit defensive. So Trenton knows that there's blood in the water here. He is going to try to make an attack.
Hey, Joe, remember that 3+ second gap back to Vanier? Now 2.4.
And now they're almost
tight.
going to make contact coming into turn 13. Can't quite tell if they did, but the damage has been done, and Trenton is through.
Nicely executed pass, and now Andy's going to lay the bumper back to him, really get into him. He's going to spin Trenton Estep around, coming out of turn number 15. A little bit of contact, and now Vanier is right on the rear wing.
It was at Sonoma that Lee was the victim of a move like that, and now unfortunately he's on the other end of it. We have precious little time for the stewards to try and look over that one, but that was some serious contact there. I wouldn't doubt that we might get an investigation on that.
Yeah, that wasn't just one hit. That was like 3 or 4 taps. He was definitely trying to make too big of a statement there towards Trenton.
Wow, okay, so now it's Janson, Yardley, Lee, Vanier. And can Vanier steal that away, or does he have to? Because we could get a penalty for Andy Lee here at the end of this race. 35 seconds left, and it looks like Hayes is in sector 3. Yes, okay, white flag is out, 1 to go, but that's going to mean about a lap and a half left for everybody else.
Absolutely, Lee's going to have to hang on to it, but most importantly, here is our overall leader starting his final 20 turns. Now 19 turns and 3+ miles to navigate. A perfect strategy execution by the team. Got the pit stop done, got the driver change done before the full course yellow. Essentially gave him a 2-minute lead in terms of that track position, and now Charlie Hayes just has to bring it home.
Incident involving the 295 and the 227 is under review. Kind of expected that. We don't need another dramatic change here at the end. I don't know why Foss is racing this. He flashed his lights at him on the front stretch, and I thought maybe that was just a, hey, congrats, as he was coming through. But I guess that more meant he wanted to pass by.
Eric is one of the more aggressive drivers out there. He grew up as essentially a touring car driver, and he knows how to get the passes done. He's always one of the fastest on the racetrack, but I'm sure the team might be telling him now, hey, that's the overall leader in front of you.
Yeah, it's not your fight. It's not even the same class, honestly, because Foss in the Pro-Am and Charlie in the AM category. So, yeah, it looks like he has backed off now and is just giving him a little bit of space to wrap this one up. Maybe even just wanted to finish on the lead lap to complete this race.
I also want to point out, Andy Lee did get a drive-through penalty for taking out Trenton Estep there. So that will put Zach Vanier up onto the podium if he can hold that third place position through to the end.
Pretty sure he'll be able to. Estep's a little bit too far back at this stage. And in the meantime, with just a couple corners to go, what a move it was from Charlie Hayes and Reinhold Kron to put this car into the lead through a strategy call. Luck helped them out with the yellow, but once it was put in their hands, we did not see them falter. They put in the laps, and they're going to put in a win today in the 233 car for round 3 of the Porsche Endurance Challenge.
Nicely executed, and crucially, that also secures the win for Robin Liddell in that Cayman GT4 category. Here comes Aaron Janson to win in that 992 class as well.
That's going to be a little bit later. We got a minute and a half to wait for him to come around. He's a ways down the order, but you're all right that Chappell taking the checkers means that Liddell has been confirmed, although we got to wait for Manny Tartaglione. He looks to be on the same lap as the 86.
Let's see them all come across this start-finish line here. A little bit unfortunate for sure for Andy Lee to have that penalty so close to the end of the race. You gotta wonder, between Sonoma and now COTA, what's going through the head of that driver.
How about Joseph Petkus? He just crossed the line, soloing to a third in the Cayman Pro-Ams, or excuse me, Cayman AMs. So well done on that one. Anna Checki giving her and Greg another podium in the 72 now that she is crossed. Still a little bit longer before we get down to our winner in the 992 Pro-Am class, but Janson with a 4-second lead just needs to put the lap in, and he's there.
Yeah, I think a couple of the cars that should be coming across the start-finish line is going to be one of our Cayman class winners as well. Waiting for Manny Tartaglione to round through turn number 20. I mean, how great of a day is it going to be for this Tartaglione father-son duo collecting the class win?
Manny and Reggie are going to be over the moon for that one. Speaking of which, there is our winner, Aaron Janson in the Pro-Am class, flashing his lights in celebration. Yardley behind with a second place, and then to the line. It was going to be close. Vanier almost did it on the track anyways, but he's going to get promoted ahead of Andy Lee.
Yeah, that was pretty close. I think this is going to be the rest of the field. Estep, Bloom, and company coming across. I think we've only got Hart out here in the 285 to round it out at turn number 20.
Yeah, he just crosses the line, which will move Andy with his penalty all the way down to 7th in class. In the meantime, Robin Liddell will win alongside Bill Pelichewski for the 62 team in the Cayman Pro-Ams. That's all of our field across the line. So let's go through your finishing order. Charlie Hayes with the overall win today, with Aaron Janson finishing second but winning in the Pro-Am class. Ryan Yardley will be P3 with Zach Vanier in fourth. Then it's Trenton Estep in P5. It is Bloom in sixth position. Jason Hart finishing in seventh, and Andy Lee getting put down to eighth by a penalty late in the race. Eric Foss was ninth, Owen Trinkler 10th, and Madeline Stewart 11th, with Pechnik being our last finisher in the 992 Cup class, Joey.
Yeah, and then of course we have Robin Liddell in that Cayman GT4, essentially being able to put a lap on the field because he was able to stay in front of our overall leader, winning that class. Brandon Chappell also on the podium, second overall, and Anna Checki, you know, we didn't mention her much the last half of this race, but she did an excellent job to maintain that pace, also end up on the podium there in third place. And then of course we talked about Manny Tartaglione winning in class, fourth overall for the Caymans. Osblund back here in second in class, fifth overall in the Caymans. And like you said, Joe, Petkus making it all the way through, finishing on the podium.
Going to be so happy about that. We're going to be happy to be celebrating with them on the podium. That is coming in just a moment here from the top of the stands here at Circuit of the Americas. So don't go away for our finishing show in the Porsche Endurance Challenge.
It's hard to contain your excitement when you get something you've really wanted. Like the gold standard in automotive protection, WeatherTech floor liners. With deep sculpted channels and laser measured for total protection in the front, back, and even up the sides.
Dad, you're going viral.
What? WeatherTech me.
So don't be shy, enjoy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access, where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
for our podium ceremonies here at Circuit of the Americas for the Porsche Endurance Challenge. We're going to start off with the Cayman Ams. Check. Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, it's time for our podium ceremonies here for the Porsche Endurance Challenge at Circuit of the Americas, round 3. We're going to start off with the Cayman Ams. Finishing in third today, driving the number 83, a solo effort from Joseph Petkes. In P2, driving the number 86, another solo drive, Brent Osplund. And our winning team today in the Cayman Ams, the number 59 of Reggie and Manny Tartaglione.
But worked out in my favor. Thank you.
Well, that's awesome, you guys. You guys held it through all the way through to the end, so congratulations.
And if we could swap hats, please. Let's hold up those trophies one more time.
But don't use this one.
And now, why don't you spray some champagne? Let's give it up for Cayman and Podium here for the Endurance Challenge. Up next, we have the Cayman Pro-Ams. Finishing third today, driving the number 72, it's Greg and Anna Checki. Finishing P2 today, the number 78 car, Charles Espinlob and Brandon Chappell. And our winners in their first race of the Endurance Challenge this season, it's the 62 of Bill Pelichewski and Robin Liddell.
All right, Bill and Robin, you guys both had a fantastic race, a lot of action between both of you. Bill, we'll start off with you. You were the starting driver. How did it go for you out there?
It was a good stint. Obviously, these guys were, very competitive, and I want to stay kind of next to them. And then we had the yellow flag, and that changed a little bit of the whole character of the stint. But it was good, and trying to leave the car in a good shape for Robin to take over. As my coach and co-driver has been a good weekend for us.
Yeah, and then Robin, once you got in, you had some action there as well, making a pass for the lead and then hanging on to it, actually gapped yourself a little bit. Was there any concerns you had during your stint?
Well, my only concern was really I hadn't driven the car much before the race, but fortunately Bill had me in the 6 hours with Andrew Davis, my longtime co-driver and friend, and I just got to say, hats off to Bill. What an incredible drive he's had this weekend, and to get around Charles Espinlob was no easy feat, so congratulations to him for a great drive. And I'm sorry that Andrew Davis isn't here. I'm subbing in for him essentially, and thanks again to Kelly Moss Motorsport, done an awesome job. Enjoyed being a part of that once again, and Porsche Motorsport, just brilliant.
Yeah, great job, both of you.
And if the drivers could swap their hats out and hold the trophies up again, please. And of course, your favorite part, why don't you spray some champagne? Congratulations to our Cayman Pro-Am podium. Let's give it up for them one more time. Now it's time for the GT3 AMs. Finishing P2 today, it's the number 216 with Peter Toombs and Lonnie Pechnick. And our winning team today, the number 233 with a massive gap to the field, Reinhold Kron and Charlie Hayes.
All right, congratulations, you guys. You guys had a huge lead at the end there. What were your thoughts going through that race?
Well, my thoughts were, who am I fighting for? Because I kept asking and I didn't know. So I go with the game of nobody gets by me. So I think I doored a couple people, even though I was a lap up on them, and that was pretty dumb of me if I knew. But I can't thank the whole team enough. I mean, I think we were the first one. I mean, usually first one's here, definitely last one's here every single night. I'm sorry about that, guys, but we have 3 cars on the podium today, right here. This is what counts. So thank you.
So I have a question for you as well. Did you guys know that the yellow was going to come out at that time, or was it just perfect timing?
We didn't have a crystal ball. It was good timing. We've been unlucky the last few races with the yellows, and this time luck was on our side. And we were trying to pit at the right time so that if there was a yellow, that we would have an advantage. But it just worked out that way. We were lucky.
Oh, great job, you guys. Congratulations.
Let's hold those trophies high. Let's swap the hats out, please. And hold the trophies up one more time. And now you've got a chance to celebrate with some champagne! That's the GT3 AM podium here for round 3 in the Porsche Endurance Challenge. And last but not least, we have the GT3 Pro-Ams. In third today, driving the 255, it goes to Mike Mim and Zach Vanier. P2 goes to the number 241 team. That's Demir Hott and Ryan Yardley. And our winner, driving the 280, it goes to John Gilliland and Aaron Janson.
All right, you guys, that was pretty spectacular. So you guys pointing to the team out there. So we'll start with you, John. You started out the race. You were looking really racy right off the bat. How did the car feel?
Well, car felt pretty good, but that was a crazy start. I didn't think, starting P3, I thought, okay, we're just going to, take our time and get up in single file, just have a normal, regular race, right? It didn't happen that way. We were in P6 right away, and I had a lot of work to get him back in the car in position.
No, you did a great job handing the car off to Aaron. And Aaron, for you, you had to make the pass for the lead. It wasn't easy. So how did that go for you?
Wasn't easy is right, but it would have been impossible without John and his hard work. I mean, it was tough to look at after we lost all those spots, and just seeing the way he tore back through the field was unreal. Like, I was so proud of him, and got in the car in much more manageable position, made a tough pass into turn 1, and just managed it from there. But, you know, at that point, it was just track position.
Yeah, that's right. Teamwork makes the dream work. Congratulations, guys.
Let's hold those trophies up for the cameras. And if we could, please, swap out the hats. Let's grab those trophies. And one last time this weekend, let's spray some champagne! Congrats to all of our podium finishers here at Circuit of the Americas. That brings us to 1 round to go at Road Atlanta later on here in 2025. Tune in for more racing action in the Porsche Endurance Challenge.